You know what they say, don't read the comments. Well, I read the comments. Welcome to Scarlett's Don't Read the Comments. It's been a little while since I've done a comments video and I figured it was time for one. I've had lots of comments that I've thought about making a video of, but recently I got a few from the same commenter I felt this is really the time to do it. So let's go. And as usual, I like to think of these comments videos as a way to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and doing all the YouTube stuff. And for those of you who bought me a coffee as well, thank you so much. Here's a recent picture I took of a skeleton that was a decoration for Halloween from a little while back, doing some gardening, as skeletons like to do. And as always, stay tuned till the end for the kitty pics. Yes, I have a couple of new pictures of two of my cats that I'm going to share with you, again, as a way to thank everybody for all the YouTube stuffing. All right, having said all that, let's look at our comment. So these comments are on my video, It is Loving to Tell Unbelievers They Are Wicked. And in that video, I did mention the fact that an election had just taken place and I was not particularly happy about the results. So Dr. Wrong, and believe me, that name is so good, just so perfect for this commenter, writes, "Is this a political video?" Of course that one wasn't. I was just mentioning a current event that was taking place at the time of making that video, and I thought that there was a good connection between some of the things that had happened on the heels of that election that connected to that. But guess what? This video, this comments video, is a little bit more of a political video. Not that much, we're not going to get down into the nitty-gritty, but just the intersection of atheism and politics, because things aren't always in nice, tidy, neat categories. Sometimes there's overlap. And what does everybody make of Dr. Wrong's image that he's put up? I'm assuming he, maybe I shouldn't assume he. I'm not even sure what to say about this instance of animal cruelty. Duct tape around a dog's mouth does not make me happy. But Dr. Wrong was not done being wrong, so let's go on. The next comment I'd like to talk about, Dr. Wrong writes, number 1, political activity happened, ... not even a full ellipsis, Dr. Wrong, I mean, come on. 2, bored interneters write stupid stuff for attention, again, ... There was this whole joke in the flat earth debunking community about the space comma, and this is sort of like that, ... not a full ellipsis or anything. Anyway, I wasn't bored. I guess I'm an interneter. I don't know if my stuff was stupid or not, and a lot of people are writing about the election, because analysis and stuff, whether or not you're bored and whether or not you want attention. Number 3, the world ends ... Well, I don't know that anybody's claiming the world is going to end or that it is ending. I mean, that's a Christian thing, but certainly we have to be careful of how we go forward in the future, I think. Grow a spine, drop the drama. Trump's not going to kill ya. He's a politician. They never keep promises and they lie to their constituents. So I don't know what growing a spine has to do with any of this. I'm not sure about dropping the drama. All I said was I wasn't happy about the election. I think we need to be worried about Christian nationalism that's coming down the pike. Whether or not Trump is going to kill us indirectly or directly, I'm not worried about him killing me personally, but from his last presidency, I'm concerned for a lot of people that they're not going to make it through this alive, and not because they would have naturally died, but because of situations that he has created. He's a politician, they never keep promises. Well, that's not exactly true. I mean, the political system, what they say about making sausage, it's not always neat and tidy. I think some politicians do, in fact, keep their promises, and I think Trump actually kept some of it. Well, I say Trump. I actually think it was Mitch McConnell back then. But anyway, Dr. Wrong still isn't ready to stop being wrong. We're going to get to the bigger comment he made. So Dr. Wrong writes, I'm not interested in politics. Everyone involved with politics is a human and all act the same as each other. It's nothing but deceit and drama and blame-mongering and hand-wringing. Religion claims there's another type of being, capital B for some reason, with non-human behavior and which affects humans, with which we should cooperate or at least emulate. Politics is about dishing out special privileges only to certain people. We already know people love to do that. We'll excel by exploring questions, not by spraying blame. So, just such a ridiculous point of view on both politics and religion. I find it interesting that people say they're not interested in politics, and then they have very strong opinions about certain things in politics. By the way, you don't have to be interested in politics. No one forces you to be interested in politics, just saying. But if you're going to hold these strong opinions, people might ask you some questions. So while it is true that people involved in politics are all human, they actually do not act the same. I think that is one of the most ridiculous things that is said here. There are sincere politicians and disingenuous ones who act in the interest of the powerful and those who act in the interest of the powerless. There are polite people and rude people. Some people are stupid, ignorant, misinformed, or a combination. Others are intelligent and well-informed. Some people are racist, bigoted, xenophobic. And as for deceit, not all politics is deceit. Is passing an infrastructure policy deceit? Is establishing immigration policy deceit? Give me a break. And drama? Now, have you watched C-SPAN? Most politics is boring, and it should be, as far as I'm concerned. It should be about the nitty-gritty of things that impact our lives. Blame-mongering and hand-wringing? Maybe you mean the speeches politicians give, or are you talking about commentary? But, trying to establish our principles or locating problems is often labeled this way. It's often labeled by people who do not want change as a way to cast blame or to hand-wring, and as if it's ineffectual and not worth doing. But it's ridiculous to declare all politics to be this. Now, about religion, not all of the beings posited by religion have non-human behavior. In fact, I see totally human behavior in most deities. Even Yahweh is jealous, angry, punishing. And does religion say we should cooperate or just follow the orders of that deity? I'm not sure I've seen much cooperation, just like, here's a rule, follow it. Since Dr. Wrong has decided politics is all drama and deceit and hand-wringing, he doesn't see any questions we can explore through politics. I would say the field of political science disagrees with Dr. Wrong's assessment. But even I, with my stupid layperson's understanding, think Dr. Wrong's name is perfect. Politics is about the things we do together. From the local level of zoning, traffic laws, restaurant certification, funding education, among other things, I'm being very reductive here, to things at the federal level where we are concerned with national policies like immigration, interstate commerce. Politics is about what we do when external events like natural disasters or pandemics occur, how we interact with other nations, war, diplomacy, pacts, etc. What regulations are imposed on businesses, like how much are they allowed to pollute? How should they treat their employees? How about product safety? I could go on. There are a lot of things that we do together that get regulated. When there are problems to solve, like a worldwide pandemic, pollution in our atmosphere, our water, people who are suffering illnesses because of lead pipes, infrastructure, people being mistreated by their employers, people who have issues with someone else who didn't respect a contract. All of these people could be seen as hand-wringers or blame-mongers by others who don't give a shit. And instead, we could also see them as people looking for an equitable resolution. Now, maybe Dr. Wrong has the idea that politics and religion are separate domains. And of course, in the US, we have, for now at least, what we call separation of church and state. But there is such a thing as a theocracy. The United States is not the only thing going. I'm not sure where Dr. Wrong is. Country leaders have thought they were gods or God-appointed. Countries have based laws off of religious authorities. So this notion that they're totally separate is misguided, kind of like religion inserts itself into science when it doesn't belong there and says, oh, we've got the answer because of book. There are overlaps between the morality, let's say, of our justice system and religion. Some rules are just pretty common across all cultures, like, let's say, murder being wrong. And even in the US, laws used to be passed based on citizens thinking that their religious morality was just objectively right or wrong, not even looking for a secular reason, just because of their religion. Now, maybe Dr. Wrong doesn't perceive the impacts of our political system. Some people don't. Now, this channel may become more about politics with the incoming president, because Christian nationalists are salivating about the possibilities for leadership they perceive in their quest to remake this nation the image of what they think God wants. Dr. Wrong may think that religion never crosses into politics, but we can see lots of Christians trying to change laws and policy at every level that can impact our lives. It's one thing to make a secular case that a law is in the society's interest based on the best studies, and all of that could be wrong. But it is another thing to base it solely off what someone thinks a deity has decreed. Right now, people have tried to ban books and appropriate curricula. They want to insert creationism into the classroom, force prayers onto students, the 10 Commandments in schools. People have managed to remove a federal right to abortion, which left it in the individual's hands. So what people might not understand is having a federal right means that I as the individual can decide if this is what's in my interest, and I could also base that decision off of a discussion with my religious leader, whoever that is, and say like, oh no, we think abortion is wrong and you shouldn't go through with it. But now the decision is in the hands of state lawmakers and state voters, and we can see the fruits of that. People are now dying when they used to have access to something that could save them. Another thing is there are people who want to pass a law that says there are only 2 genders, once again removing individual agency and liberty to self-define. I'm just going to leave it there. I could go on more and more on the ways that religion can, has, and will impact politics. And I think it's naive to pretend that there aren't segments of self-God appointed busybodies. Self-God appointed, like they think God has appointed them, but they've appointed themselves. Just trying to clarify that. Self-God appointed busybodies trying to police our personal lives. Now, this Project 2025 wants to interpret the pursuit of happiness as the pursuit of blessedness, in effect redefining liberty, as a certain segment of the population does right now, meaning freedom and liberty are whatever they think the Christian God wants. Let's just look at a little bit of this language, because a lot of the people that did this Project 2025 are now crowing about how this was the plan all along, even though Trump said it wasn't, and blah, blah, blah. The language says that an individual must be free to live as his creator ordained to flourish. Our Constitution grants each of us the liberty to do not what we want, but what we ought. And that's not at all what our founders envisioned. And at the very end of this particular segment, it says, religious devotion and spirituality are the greatest source of happiness. It goes on, but you can see that they want to change this pursuit of happiness that is in the Declaration of Independence, which granted is not Constitution, but I know these are different documents, but they're taking these founding documents and acting like their interpretation is the correct one, and it just isn't. I want to take a moment to speak a little bit more personally about how politics can impact our lives at this small individual level. The reason that I decided to join the atheist community way back many, many years ago was because of a political action. Very briefly, this is the story. There had been Christian groups that had placed a nativity scene in a monument for the people that had died in war at whatever little town this was. And there was an atheist group that wanted to put up a solstice pole. And they put in their request with the town council or whoever, the local government. And instead of granting them their permit, what the town council decided to do was deny everybody this ability to do this. And the Christian groups blamed the atheists, saying the atheists were ruining it for everybody. Well, the atheists had never had anything, so they didn't have anything to ruin. But it just shows you that politics can impact your life. You can be denied something. You might think this is a small thing, and maybe it is, but why deny these people, your fellow citizens, the ability to do the thing that your group has always been doing? I also see the impact of how the way things are discussed from our leaders trickles down to tell other people how they should act. And while we might see these speeches and even the deeds that a lot of our politicians do as empty, I see the fruits of those words, however empty or full they may be. I mean, we don't know what's in people's minds. We don't know how sincere they always are. Sometimes we have to look at patterns of behavior. But back in 2016, when the president-elect was elected the first time, I heard lots of stories from women who were being harassed in ways that they hadn't been before. Like, there were waitresses who had their bottoms slapped as they worked, and people saying that men were talking down to them or touching them in inappropriate ways. It was like permission was handed down from above. And I'm seeing this happen again. I've seen videos posted of Trump caravans shouting homophobic slurs and men saying that women's bodies belong to them. the tone does trickle down. What our leaders say does kind of give an impetus to the rest of the culture, like it or not. Again, Dr. Wrong maybe is one of these people like nothing bad ever happens in his life. And so this just like whatever, so what? You're not going to die, or whatever his, thought is on that. I know that Dr. Wrong doesn't think that there are any ideas or questions or issues, or however he phrased it, in politics, because for him it's just handing out favors. But there definitely are some really interesting philosophical questions that you can ask. And one of those questions, I think, coming from my humanism, is, do you want to espouse a politics of generosity, or do you want to espouse a politics of selfishness? And this is definitely a thing. All those Ayn Randians running around John Galting the world saying, like, you need to take care of yourself and only think of yourself. And if you think of yourself, the impacts will flow from there. Everybody looking out for their self-interest is in the interest of society. I don't believe in that. I've seen it not work. I've looked at studies that say that it doesn't work. And I much prefer a politics of generosity, of looking out for other people, because when other people are in good situations, that goodness flows out and it encompasses all of us. I also am a big believer in collectivism, and I've heard some people really dismiss collectivism because they think that you have to give up your individuality if you join collectivist action. But you don't. You don't have to give up things about yourself to work together with other people who are in your circumstance. I've been a part of a union and I've seen what unionization can do. These are my personal values. These are things I've seen work. I know that in some circumstances, people are not in a circumstance where they have any leverage to make the kind of change they want. They can't go to their boss and get the raise or get the promotion. It's the way the company or the business, or in my case, education, is structured. You need everybody to go together and show what you're worth to those people, and it's that gives you leverage. So anyway, I'm going to end the political section of this here and now, but I might delve more into politics as we move forward, because I might be following this Christian nationalism a little more closely and looking at things that are happening on a local or a state or the federal level. And again, it's the intersection of politics and atheism that I think is interesting. It's not totally separate, and I don't know that it can be until we can get to a place where a majority of people once again think that the secular state is the best way to go, and they don't want to insert their religion and think that their God has given them the right answers. All right, that's enough on that. So much blibbity blab on the politics and this and that. And by the way, I should update this view. Here is what this view looks like currently as we get into late fall. And we're sort of in a drought situation here in New Jersey, so the river is a little bit low, but there you go. And without further ado, the kitty pics. First, we have Carson all tucked up and asleep on her moose blanket. She is ready for winter in her curled up position. And the second is Susie Q in what we call boat form, floating away on her beautiful carpet. Well, that's what I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this comments video. And once again, thank you for all of the YouTube stuffing. And thanks especially to those of you who bought me a coffee. Really, it is much, much appreciated. And I got something upcoming that is a word salad kind of thing. Gonna be fun. And it's gonna be stupid. Bye for now.